Alright, we at Jeffy's house today because it's raining in the backyard. We're going to put brakes together. We put the new wheel cylinder in there first. Got a wrench for that? I'll use this one. All right, we got something done. Okay, we're going to put our brake shoes on. This one already has the parking brake lever on there. If you had to change that, you got to pry this little clip off. Pop that out, put it on the new one, and then bend that little clip around again. That sits in there like that. I would take a little sandpaper if you have it and scuff the ugly off of that. Now we have these nails, as they're called, and these are pretty ugly, these ones. I don't know if you're even going to be able to use these. They're all rusted. But the nail comes through the backing plate, through that little hole there, and then you put the washer on. The washer has a slot in it to go over that, so you put it and then turn it, and then you have a spring. Well, put your shoe on. Then you have the two washers and the spring, and then this washer is cupped, and it goes on there, and it's turned 90 degrees so it can't come off. And then this goes in there like that. Then you have a washer. And this can be a royal pain in the butt. You gotta hold your mouth right to get this to work out right. Because nothing ever wants to stay where it belongs. So do that. Right, that washer. Here we go. Now, you might notice that we didn't put pins in the wheel cylinder yet. We'll get there. Okay, so you get that started on here. Then you just bring your other washer. You have one of these 50 tools if you don't use a pair of pliers. Then you do that. Then you try to get that light pretty behind you so I can see what's on here. Now, there you go. See that? Wow. Yep. No, it's just a shadow there. I'm not sure. Quite frankly, this is the right stuff here. We'll have to see, because this hardware doesn't want to go on there. We'll see. Maybe. Okay, so that's on there pretty tight. Now, this little horseshoe, hold that, not enough hands, sits on that round part. We got this little T-bar that goes up there. Now we need to, where are those pins at? Right here. So we need to go ahead and put that in first. Let's go ahead and put this one in. Okay.
There's a wrench for the bleeder.
All right, so what you have is that shoe has a notch in it, and the pin has a notch in it, and the two of them go together. So now we're looking good there. And we'll go ahead and put our T-bar on. When you're putting brake shoes on like this, there's generally a long shoe and a short shoe, and the short shoe always goes to the front. That's because of the wheel rotation and the way the brakes engage. All right, so hopefully that'll fit right over that now. Barely. Okay, what we can do here is we have we have 3 springs that come with this. The shorter of the 3 goes down here on the adjuster, and the 2 longer ones go up on top. Well, in this case, somebody's already written on them that the middle-sized one goes on the bottom. That goes on the top rear, and that goes on the top front. So, shows how much I know. Seeing as how we weren't around to take this apart, we'll have to go by the owner's notes. Now you have this little plate here that goes behind the spring, or goes into the shoe, I'm sorry, right there in that little hole, and that's for the self-adjuster cable. And then you have the self-adjuster cable that goes on there like that and sits in that groove. And then you have this spring that goes like that. That, you probably can't see all that from the camera angle, but we'll show you later how it all goes like that. And in this case, we have a lot of noise in the background. We have these special brake pliers. This has a little trough at the end. It sits over that pin, and you can stretch that spring into place like that. And you know, you can do the same thing with a screwdriver if you're so inclined. So there we've got the rear shoe on. But now we have to work on our front shoe. Okay, hold on. And that's top, that was there. No, it's over here. Unusual, but we'll see. Looks like it fits a little better there. Okay, so you see, now we got both shoes on. Got our parking brake lever, cable, and now we've got to put the bottom together. We're on our pins, on our post, So now we have our adjuster, threads in and out, slot on either side, and that goes across the bottom of the shoes. Now, the slot is to the back, so the star wheel has to go to the back. So that sits up in there like that. Now, before we do that, gotta put the handbrake spreader in there. Which is this whole contraption. More springs to compress. So that'll be interesting. I don't think anybody did any favors putting this giant axle flange in here. This is larger than normal because somebody's put different axles in this car, so it really makes it difficult to get in behind this backing plate, or this axle flange to put the brakes on. I'm not entirely sure if this goes to the front or the back. We may have to Google it. Okay, so Google answered our question. This goes towards the front of the car. You put this little plate in there, rides on the shoe, and then the spring and everything, and it goes in a slot. See if we can get it in there like that. Put this down over that without knocking that out of the way. We may have to take our spring off. We're going to put this in there. This over here, this is not here. So not there. There's got plates on there. So we're going to take this string off. And we've got our cooler has this little gizmo on top. And put that like that. Spin that around. Hopefully, that way. Okay, that's all there. Now, maybe this one has to get that like that. No, just get this one. Do it again. Okay, so straight. Oh, not right. Back there. And Bob's your uncle. Now we got some back and forth action there. This gizmo right here in the box goes in between there and there. So that you want to make sure these turn freely. Somebody's put some anti-seize on this, but basically this is a self-adjuster. Goes in here. Cable hooks to this gizmo, and essentially every time you pull the parking brake on, this is supposed to turn this adjuster a couple of clicks, keep the shoes adjusted. Does it really work? Yeah, I don't think so, but it's a nice idea. Too high off the ground. So we got one last spring and our fancy adjuster, and you got to make sure that the cable doesn't jump off of that track it's on. And there's a slot in here where this little arm goes. Okay. I do this again. I'm going to go to the back off. Not great. Put that on the again. Nice to do. No, we need to all this stuff. I'm going to use that one. Yeah. I like it. Okay. Okay, with the arm. You with the arm. Okay, now we're on the track. See? Now everything's on. We got all that. We got our string here. We're fine. Just like this. This one. Yeah, I don't think that that's in there properly, so we're gonna have to change that bottom spring, and I'm gonna have to change positions. So this is your brake adjuster and your self adjuster, and that spring I believe we have in backwards because there's not enough tension on it, so we're gonna take it out of there and see if we can turn it around. So we turn that spring around, put the curlicue end in here. Now we've got a lot more tension on this, holding this together. The secret now is we've got to get our cable hooked back up. Well, that's going to be fun. Okay, after a lot of screaming and yelling, we finally got it all together. Cable on the little bracket, springs in the right place. Get the adjuster in down here, self-adjuster lever, spring going the right way. Did not put the emergency brake cable in, but that's a job for another day. Run in all the way, stuck the drum on, one side done.